Hello and welcome to another episode of Loose Canon. We are back once again. We're off to a little bit of a late start because I lost track of time and then I noticed that our show notes were mistakenly removed. Thankfully, this episode is going to be a reading episode, so then we're not as reliant on notes as we sometimes are. It'll be a nice casual episode because in 3 days, 3 days, 2 days.
2 days.
If you
Yeah.
yeah, 2 days if you don't count today as a day or you don't count Tuesday as a day because it's technically the day of. It'd be at reset though. When's reset right now? Is it at 11 or 12 or 1? It's within those 3
11,
hours.
I think it's 11.
Yeah.
Well, for wait,
Oh, that's a good
for
point.
for me when so for California it would be like noon, 2, 1, 2. I don't know.
Hmm.
Is it the Jurassic period in California right now?
California, I think they're supposed to get it at 9 and then daylight savings bumps it to 10 if I remember correctly. That's why we get it at 12. Or does daylights bump it to 11 or to 8 and then it bumps us to 11, bumps me to 11 cuz you're a different time zone than I am as well.
Right. I'm Central. The only time zone that matters.
If you say so. I should be Atlantic time. That'd be really fun.
No, we're in the center. We're the center of the universe, so Central time. That's the only time that matters.
Yeah, sure, buddy.
You're in the past. You're like what is that? Like Paleolithic or something, or like
How
I
am I
think
in the
California's
past?
Jurassic. Wait, where's Baxter? Baxter's in
Baxter, well, he
Ireland.
used to be 5 hours ahead of me, but then he moved.
That's
I don't
right.
think he's there anymore. I don't want to like give out too much information on him.
That's right. He was in Precambrian
Yeah.
era.
Okay, but how am I in the past if it's 9 a.m. for me, if it's 9:30 for me, and it's 7:30 for you?
No, it's 8:30.
Okay, it's 8:30 for you. I always get Central and Mountain mixed up because they don't matter. So it's 8:30 for you. How am I in the past when I'm further along than you are?
Exactly, because it's already happened for you.
You're in the past.
No, I'm in the future, man.
That's not how that works.
No, I'm in the future. It hasn't happened for me yet.
That makes it the past. We
What
have
time is it there?
technology.
What time is it there?
It's 9:30 in the morning. We are an
Okay,
hour
that
ahead of
hasn't
you.
happened here yet. That hasn't
We
happened here yet.
we have technology that you do not have yet. It's
Look, I'm
astounding.
looking at the future right now, and you haven't seen
Yeah.
it yet.
No, I'm in the future. You can look at us, but I'm already in it.
Yeah, but you already happened for what I can see. If I looked at you through a telescope right now, I'd be looking in the past.
What?
Look, there are thousands of stars in the night sky that you could look up and see with your naked eye.
Okay.
They've already happened.
They've already happened. Thank you.
Yep,
They've
you're
already
welcome.
happened.
Yes.
I think I'm a little
By
loud
the time you
actually.
saw it, it was already happened.
That's a scary thing that like the the sun will blow up and we won't actually see it like in real time. We'll see it on the delay. That's crazy.
Right, like if we were alive when it happened.
Yeah, if we're totally not gonna be. I have no plans
I
of
mean, you
destroy.
never know.
That's it. That's a fair point. You don't. You never know if some space rhinos are gonna come and try to destroy the sun.
The Hesperonauts will terraform Venus, and then we will forget about them. Never forget the Hesperonauts.
I feel like the only reason we I don't think we really forgot about them. It's just like we they were golden age, and I'm sure in the golden age they were like a big deal, like hooray they did it, yeah they're so awesome, hooray, blah blah blah.
I mean, they had
But
terraforming machines.
yeah, and but what I'm saying is you're saying that we forgot about them. I'm saying that we entered a wartime crisis, and it was like, all right, yeah, they're fucking great and all, but we're just trying to survive at this point. Like 90% of humanity died. We're kind of forgetting
Yeah,
about the people who terraformed a planet that we can't even live on anymore because of how hostile it is.
true. You make a valid point.
Yeah. In any case, it is Lightfall, and I hope I'm gonna keep messing it up. I just did. God damn it. It
It's
is
the final
Final
shape.
Shape next to this coming Tuesday in 2/3 days /1 day, I guess, if you're in the future, like in fucking Australia and shit. It's like it, it's not 1 day yet. In 3 hours, it'll be a day away, right?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yes, 'cause that's why they're in the future. Matt's in the fucking future.
Yeah,
Um,
dang Aussies.
but yeah, I'm gonna keep on messing up. I called Lightfall Final Shape, and I'm gonna call Final Shape Lightfall for like until the next I guess episode, because it's going to be episodes, and then I assume there will be another expansion at some point. I do hope that it's not, I think I've said this before, but I do hope that it's not like on a strict schedule. It's just episode, and they're like, we don't actually have an expansion. Episode, now we have an expansion, here you go. Like,
Yeah,
do
yeah.
it do it
I
as
would
it
like to
makes
see that
sense.
too. Yeah, that would be nice.
But so we have a nice little episode today. We're gonna round out the lore book, Two Old Friends. We found out where we left off. We're gonna finish doing the reading on that. We'll probably talk a little bit more about Final Shape, and but before we get into all of that, how about we get right into our weekly lore card?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Lore
brought to you
cards.
by brought to you by the Destiny Armory Defined is our weekly lore card. And just so you know, I have saved the follow up images. So
Look at
uh,
you.
tell me as you need them, and I can throw them on the screen.
Yeah. Well, this one. So this is a neat one because I mean, we all
I
have
like
an
how it's a
idea what
follow
this
up from
is.
last week.
Yeah, exactly. I was carrying the theme into the because I had a sneaky suspicion that this would end up being like an ornament that they would bring back in a way, and they
Mm-hmm.
totally did because one of the Kvostov screenshots they showed off had this thematic color scheme. It's changed a little bit from D1, but all in all, it looks relatively the same. Also, they changed Red Death a little bit too. So, just if you were paying attention, Red Death probably has an ornament that makes it look like the traditional one. We'll probably see it too, if I'm assuming correctly. But as it is right now, the one they showed off is different looking. It's neat because the flavor text I saw on it is slightly changed. So that's neat too. They do that from time to time. Like some of the weapons that they reprise from D1 have a little bit of a altered flavor text, which is
Mm-hmm.
neat.
So
Uh, yeah,
I told you before the show, for anyone watching, listening, I've kind of not been keeping up to what's coming in Lightfall. Damn it! I tried. What's coming in Final Shape, except for Prismatic. Prismatic was like, I need to see what this is about. Like, I'm really excited for Prismatic. But everything else, like, no idea. Pretty much no idea what's gonna happen. And I'm kind of like excited about that, to like just like completely fresh eyes on the
yeah,
final chapter. Um, so you're telling me Red Death is coming back?
yeah, yeah. Well, we all kind of assumed it would. I mean,
We have
what's funny?
Crimson.
Yeah, yeah,
We don't need
yeah,
Red Death. I'm just saying, like, all right, sure, I'll take a Red Death, but we have
yeah,
Crimson.
yeah. Well, there's something that makes it not crimson, so that's kind of cool.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Do we know what that something is?
yeah, but I'm not going to tell you and ruin it.
All right, I dig it.
So, so Um, one other neat little thing is, and people were noticing this as well, and I've said this in the past, like way back in D1, when we didn't have any information about this or any kind of way to accurately um, what is the word, prove
Mm-hmm.
the associations with certain weapons. But as the years have gone on, they've kind of locked that in the lore. Maybe it's because of us. I don't know. Maybe it's just because it was always there and they just never defined it. But we know Red Death has a cousin, Red Spectre,
Mm-hmm.
and then
Mm-hmm.
we
The
also
prototype.
know that and then we also know Red Spectre also has a cousin. What is it called? The Shadow. What the hell is it called?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
It's the Tolan auto rifle that is the association because Red Death is a pulse rifle made out of an auto rifle.
Yes,
Did you know that? Yeah. Okay.
I did.
Most people knew that. Um, they do that with a lot of archetypes when they turn them into exotics, and it's neat because here's an auto rifle that becomes a pulse rifle. The pulse rifle that became a scout rifle that nobody got was um, I'm doing horrible today. Fate of All Fools.
Oh, that's
And
not
then,
Tolan.
well, no, I know, but I'm saying as far as archetype goes,
Oh, okay, okay.
they can change archetypes into a gun that would no longer be originally what its previous format was. Perfect example is Ariana's Vow is a hand cannon, but it's a sniper,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then the one you just mentioned, Crimson, is a hand cannon, but it's a pulse rifle,
Yeah.
right? And then uh, and then a bunch of other stuff. So Shadow Promise, is that what it was called?
I can look it up.
Yeah, Shadow Promise, I think.
Oh, are you talking Shadow Price?
Shadow Price, that's it. Shadow
Okay.
Price. So the terminology for Shadow Price is basically the deal you make. It's kind of like the Faustian bargain we were mentioning in the last episode, where what is the price you pay? It's the shadow price. The shadow price
Yeah.
is the price you pay for making the Faustian bargain. We all know Tolan made the Faustian bargain, and therefore, by proxy, Red Death is associated with Tolan as being the outcome of the shadow price, that initial
Man,
bargain.
that
Yeah.
is a fucking deep cut because you said Tolan's gun, and I was like, Tolan's gun. What the fuck? Tolan doesn't have an auto rifle, and this is from D1, like base D1 from the
Yeah.
Vanguard, and so the reason it's associated with Tolan, just for anyone who was confused how I was like Shadow Price, like I got it, it's because the flavor text on it is a precision auto rifle left behind by Tolan the Shattered. It asks so little, and it offers so much.
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah. And
So,
the reason you're saying it is what it is because it has the same frame as
yes, Red Spectre and
as
then
Red
Red Death,
Spectre and Red
which are the
Death.
same frames as well. So it's like depending on which path you chose, or if how far down the rabbit hole you went with the gun, or it's basically it's a physical manifestation of the bargain that was made in a weapon format, I guess. um,
What's me?
it's kind of cool because back in D1 it represented the folly of madness, right? Like what could happen to somebody if they go down the wrong path, or what is technically considered to be the wrong path. We wrestle with right or wrong all the time in this game, but mainly it comes down to survival. But we know from lore and from character perspective, Tolan was a mad warlock, consumed by the hive. And I say consumed by the hive because he literally was consumed by the hive. And so it kind of represents that. And so a lot of key weapons that are associated with characters in game have a visual statement or a like a cue to tell you, hey, that's what this is, bro. That this is the visual representation of that particular. Yeah, there you go. There's Red Spectre. Red Spectre looks so much like Red Death just because it has the bayonet. It doesn't have the little spiny spikes, but everything else is there. And so it's kind of that auto rifle is kind of an iconic auto rifle frame from D1. Uh, there's only like maybe two or three in D2 now. But in D1, we had a ton of, I say a ton, we had several, what were they? Common, rare,
Hmm.
legendary examples of that frame in just different manufacture or different uh, themes. Like, you know, this one obviously has the Vanguard motif on it with the Shadow Price, and then Red Spectre, they removed that and painted it and put a bayonet on it, and then Red Death is just madness. So, and then there was also the ornaments we got, which were associated with it as well, um, later on, like White Witch, and then the other one I can't remember off the top of my head. So
I'm not
that's Red
getting
Death.
this.
Yeah, that's Red Death. Red Death is cool because it was a banished weapon in the Crucible because it was a quotes guardian killer.
Yeah.
So that the thought was early on that it was siphoning the light from the kills, and it's kind of cool because it has a kill notch tally on the side of the auto rifle or pulse rifle as well,
Hmm.
kind of like representing I guess the victims. Who
So
knows?
yeah, speaking of Guardian Killer, I wonder how far they mean about that, because when you look at the Red Deaths specifically, it's very blood splattered, and
Yeah,
to have blood splattered on a gun is kind of weird. So it's like,
yeah.
okay, were they using the bayonet? Oh, is that what it is?
I'm not gonna say anything.
That's what it is, isn't it? They use the
I'm
fucking
not saying
bayonet. They
anything.
use the
No,
fucking bayonet.
no, they don't.
Oh, yeah,
They do that on that other gun,
Monte
Monte
Carlo?
Carlo.
Do they?
Yeah, Monte Carlo can use the bayonet now, don't you?
I'm an avid hater of using the bayonet on guns when we have
Oh,
actually cool melee attacks.
that's true.
In any game where your melee attack is just punching someone, yeah, use the fucking bayonet. But I'm throwing flaming knives. I don't give a shit about the bayonet, buddy. I'm sorry.
That's
Uh,
fine.
but so I wonder if the Red Death was actually like final deathing Guardians, or if it was like some psycho was just brutally butchering Guardians in the Crucible, and everyone's like, "Whoa, whoa,
Yeah,
whoa, what the fuck? I don't want to see that."
right. That I think that's the mystery. Like when they say Guardian Killer, does that mean Final Death Killer,
Yeah,
or is that just yeah? There's a lot of little things that they could clarify going on in the future. But back to Kvastov.
perfect timing.
Yeah. So Kvastov has an ornament in D1 called the Bureau of Aeronautics, and it has this really. I love the color combo of this, and I something about weird color combos have always been attractive to me. Like take your all black shaders, your fluorescent colored, one color mono theme, whatever. All that stuff's cool, but man, when you can like really like stretch the color themes and like go with some colors that you might not necessarily consider to be like complementary or even, you know, just opposite or whatever, but this one works. I like it. So the Bureau of Not Aeronautics is uh, it it's a cool color scheme, and we've seen it before repeated in game. But what's really the meat and potatoes of it is if you look at the ornament on the gun, there's a symbol, and we've seen this symbol everywhere. It's even on Cade. He has it on his, I think it's on his something he wears. I think somewhere it's like
The
a patch or something.
so just to make sure, I know this is not what the symbol is, but it's what I call it, so just accept it. Are you talking about the POBA symbol?
Yes.
Cade doesn't have the POBA symbol on him.
He has it on something. Yeah, hold on. I got it
No,
here.
he
Hold on.
doesn't.
Oh, maybe he doesn't actually wear it, but it came with
Oh,
his yeah, that's what
yeah,
it was.
he has the Earth sticker.
Yeah. The
The
Earth
red
patch.
Earth orbit. Okay, I
Yeah.
see where you were coming from.
Because that was with the patches that you got with the
Yeah.
Cade stuff. So anywho, he's on Earth, obviously, and so what's on Earth? You know, Russia, where we wake up in the Cosmodrome. When we say, or when the ghost says, eyes up, Guardian. Um, so what does the POBA mean? It's the Russian Federal Bureau of Aeronautics. So Bureau of Aeronautics in
Yep.
Russian. In Russian, it's bunch of letters, and I'm not going to butcher the Russian pronunciation of it,
Yeah.
but if you want to look it up, it's it's the acronym P, and then that weird circle with the line down the middle of it, and then that other weird letter that people think is a B, but it's not. It kind of looks like a upside down G, and then A for whatever that word is.
I mean, it's got to be for aeronautics, right?
Sure, but like they wouldn't pronounce an A the way we would. Uh, but so when translated to English, it's the Russian Federal Bureau of Aeronautics. I'd be interested to see everybody's translation of this, like because we have Destiny in all different types of languages now.
Hmm.
So that would be cool.
Well, I imagine it's. Do you mean of this ornament, the Bureau of Aeronautics?
Yes,
I
yes,
imagine
just
it's
this
just
specific.
however close they can get to those words,
Yeah.
like the
So like
Council
Russian.
of Aeronautics. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. The Interpol of Bureau of Aeronautics. No.
Yeah.
Um. Anyway, so what is POBA? It's a Russian space organization that operated the Cosmodrome during the Golden Age, right? We kind of know that. So in the early concept art that they put out with before the game came out, there was actually some leaked POBA images as well. But in the early concept art, the creators of the original Arcadia class jump ship were thought to be the Bureau of Aeronautics, and then the emblem itself was even seen on obviously many ornaments and weapons in game. And there's even a shader that we have now which has the theme, even though it's not explicitly called out. It's silver tactical if you want to attain it in the game or find it. It has the exact color scheme for the POBA uh,
I'm not wrong.
Bureau of Bureau of Aeronautics. But I like it. I'm going with it. Uh, so the Russian Federal Bureau of Aeronautics was leaked before Destiny even came out. What's really cool is they played with this idea that the Russian Cosmodrome, cosmonauts,
Oh, oh.
Bureau of Space Exploration had propaganda posters and even had iconography that went along with it. Uh, and they were being spread throughout Russia during the Golden Age. So in the collector's edition, we even got some more cool art, um, which shows, some different uh, posters, if you will, that would have been considered propaganda posters. Like there's the base ships in the background, and then like in the foreground, there's people standing at attention, ready to go, and then a couple other things like where spaceships are flying out of orbit, ready to explore. There's a cosmonaut in one, and like it says CCCP, which is hilarious because you think about Russia in its current state as opposed to what it was now.
Hmm.
Anyway, uh, so just some cool stuff that went along with the Bureau of Aeronautics. If you're exploring around the Cosmodrome, you'll see these little symbols on doors and places of interest, and it's because the Cosmodrome obviously is in Russia, but it's also thought to be in Baikonur. So we
Mhm.
have a couple of ornaments in the Destiny game that I've talked about before in the past, but Baikonur is a hidden spot in Russia, or it was in real life. This is talking about real life. So in Russia, we know about it now, but back in the day, they used to hide their space exploration defense operations in a place called Baikonur Cosmodrome, which the funniest thing about this is was never actually in Baikonur. So they told the world, hey, yeah, the home base for all of our operations concerning space exploration and yada 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 is in Baikonur, in Baikonur Cosmodrome, Russia. But it was actually in a different location, and over time, that location was changed to Baikonur as well to reflect the golden age of Russian space exploration, which, as we all know, in America versus Russia, there's a heated space race that we had. Who's going to the moon first? And Sputnik was one of the first satellites that went around Earth's orbit. That was the Russians, and there was a lot of like fear mongering and a lot of propaganda that went with that on both sides. Um, Obviously the Americans touched the lunar surface first,
Mhm.
technically, and then that ended that whole deal. But there's a lot of that going on with history. What's cool now is, regardless of what countries think of each other and regardless of what's going on, turmoil, all that, scientists and space exploration people tend to have a universal uh, adopted theory that we must work together regardless of territorial conflicts or ideas in the sake of science and progression. Uh, and sometimes that doesn't work out, but most of the time it does. And it's pretty nice that globally the science community has decided to um, stick to a like a almost like a code of ethics.
Mhm.
But yeah, Bureau of Aeronautics, the Russian space exploration. There's a lot of beautiful Russians that made a huge impact in technology, space exploration, stuff like that. And so, regardless of how you feel currently today, um, what's in the past is a lot of awesome stuff.
Mm.
It just
Uh,
sucks.
One of those, and if I can get it right on the first try, then I'll mention it. I did not get it right. There we go. One of the images you had, this one, with all the POBAs, different variations of it. On the top right, it says ride along. And so this image must have come from one of the Bungie streams.
It was.
When's the last time they've done a ride along? It's been a while, hasn't it? Or have I just not
It's
paid
been a
attention
long
to them?
time. They did they did a ride along on the Dreadnought when they brought it back, but it was only a raid ride along. It
Yeah, I was gonna
wasn't
say they didn't bring back
technically.
the fucking dreadnought.
No, there was a
Yeah, they brought
ride
back
along.
Kingsfall. That's a little different.
Yeah, yeah,
I hope we get a ride along for the new location is called the Pale Heart, right?
yeah,
Okay. I hope we
yeah. That
get
would
a
be
ride
cool if we got a
along.
ride along about that. Yeah,
Yeah. Like a week after, so like let us have our time in it and then do a ride along. Do you remember the one I forget the guy's name. I want to say it was Mark. Um this is from fucking forever ago cuz they're not even doing it anymore. There was a podcast called Guardian Radio.
yeah,
They were one of the first Destiny podcasts. Might have been
yeah.
the
Of course,
first, in fact.
it was the
Um,
longest running
well, I mean,
back
now,
then.
back then, yeah.
Well, back then it was. Yeah,
Um, yeah, they one of their members, one of their podcast members, was actually like a NASA or became a NASA
he he
scientist,
he
or
is. Yeah, he is.
yeah,
Yeah,
super smart guy, and he was a part of the Mars ride along, and he was his like specific field in like NASA space science and whatever is like uh uh I don't know because it's not, yeah, it
geology,
was
stuff like
geology,
that.
but
Yeah.
how do you say other planet geology? There's got to be a better
Uh,
word for it, right?
yeah, I'll butcher it. I don't want to say it wrong
But yeah,
because
so
it's
basically he would focus on, he knew about geology of like other planets, and when they're going on Mars, because they brought him, but it was like him with like Deej or something. He's like, yeah, and these rock formations here of the cliff, this is actually
yeah.
the correct erosion patterns, because like that's how
Well, I'll tell. So for to be correct,
okay.
it's so Guardian Radio, um, two main guys, and it's actually where Bife came from too. Bife was a fan of Guardian Radio, and he was doing his lore videos. He actually came from Halo Reach. He had a YouTube channel called Reach Forge Network, which I had mutterings of back when I was playing Halo Reach. I'm just die hard. Uh, anyway, so Bife got to be a guest on the show because he had so much knowledge about early Destiny lore. And then, Bife exploded from there because Guardian Radio at the time, even though it was still considered a younger show, had a massive following
Hmm.
because it was one of the biggest, uh, you know, lore podcasts that were out.
Well,
It was one of the first too.
general. It was like a an everything podcast.
Yes. Yeah. So Mark and Craig are the founders. Craig is the scientist.
Oh, okay.
Craig
So
Hargrove,
yeah,
yeah, Craig Hargrove is he's Dr. Craig Hargrove. He was a founding member of Guardian Radio, and
nice.
he's also known for that ride along, which was with Jason Sussman, who at the time led the World Art team
Hmm.
that technically excavated Mars from their series of ideas and concepts.
Yeah.
Anyway, his work, Jason Sussman's work, was also hidden. I'm sorry, Craig Hargrove's work was also hidden in um, the Shadowkeep expansion. Rob
Really?
Adams at Bungie. Yeah, well, Rob
No, that I
Adams
didn't
at
know.
Bungie. Sure, you did. You're going to know right when I tell you. So Rob Adams at Bungie decided to take Craig Hargrove's
Oh,
project that he was working on and
yep.
hide it in game.
Yep.
Yeah, and so what that was the Luna H map mission's official logo
Hmm.
as a reference to the lunar polar hydrogen mapper that Craig Hargrove was a team lead on.
Yeah. That's why he
The
had to leave the
idea was,
podcast, right?
yeah, because they got picked up by NASA.
Yeah.
And so this project they were working on to try to find water on the moon, which they proved, they figured it out. It's true. There's water on the moon. Um, way back in the day, they had been working on this, and this satellite was originally planned to crash land on the moon in
Hmm.
2021 is how long it took for that mission to go through. Uh, and so Destiny, or Bungie technically, went ahead and made it crash land on our moon in game. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, it's pretty cool because if you do the little Easter egg mission with the tires or whatever, you get the emblem in
Oh,
game.
really?
Yeah. So there's an emblem associated with the Luna map, hydrogen mapper, and it's got the little moon with the circle around it, and then it's got this. It's the actual satellite, what it looks like on
Huh.
the emblem.
I must have that emblem. I never knew that's actually what it was.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
A lot of
awesome.
people don't know, which is funny
Yeah.
because, it's such it's like right there in plain sight, but nobody really kind of like.
Hmm.
It's funny how many things are right there and people don't know about.
Yeah.
But what
Well,
a
shout
great
out to
way to
him.
honor Craig. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who amazing scientist. Awesome. A little tidbit, little facts about the lunar mapper. I guess it was 2 years ago is when it officially took off because there was a delay. Uh, it lost contact briefly, and so it just sailed right past moon.
But it finds its way
But
back.
but it no, it actually on its way, it still had all of its detection equipment working,
Hmm.
and so it was able to scan and do what it needed to do. It just didn't actually crash land
Yeah,
on the moon like they were
but that's
trying to.
that's what I mean. Like, obviously, it found its way back to the moon somehow because in the
Yeah,
future it'll be there, as proven
yeah.
by Destiny.
We're in the darkest timeline,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Oh no, but I don't want to dye my hair.
Yeah, is that what it is?
Yeah, I'd be I'm not losing an arm or becoming an alcoholic or faking my
That's
death.
funny, dude.
I'm just gonna go Britta's route. I dyed my hair.
Oh my God, I love Community.
Yeah, great show. Shout out to
All
all of
right,
them as
so
well.
yeah,
All right, so this week we are going to be continuing, as I said earlier, continuing our read through of the lore book Two Old Friends, which is a nice little collection of like tidbit side stories. And speaking of the moon and speaking of the darkest timeline, our first one to read is article A Darker Hour, looking back at the Great Disaster, which of course is when Crota killed a bunch of people on the moon.
this is so funny how things are so cyclical on this podcast. I swear we don't do this on purpose.
Yeah, this really works out well.
Yeah.
This is a fun time. So I'll read this one first, and then since we don't have the Google Doc to that you could be locked out of, you could we could just switch again, like we usually
Oh
do.
crap! I should probably pull that up, huh?
Yeah, I sent you the link for your convenience.
Oh, you did? I
Uh,
don't know where that is.
it's in the Discord.
Oh,
So, um,
stop
article A
yelling at me,
Darker
Mom.
Hour, looking back at the Great Disaster, by Emmanuel Utkin, staff writer for the City Herald. Several lifetimes have passed since the Vanguard suffered a blow from which many felt it might never recover. For the lightless among us, the great disaster has become a fable, a story of monsters and tragic heroes encompassing the worst the universe can bring to bear. For many of the city's guardians, however, the events of that time are not simply a part of the historical record, but personal memory. Excuse me. I'd never seen anything like it, Odin Kolos says. The army the Vanguard put together, emboldened by initial victory against the Hive. Oh, awesome! Against the Hive
Yeah.
at the site of Burning Lake, the Vanguard and Consensus ordered a full-scale assault on the moon. An army of guardians, thousands strong, marched against entrenched Hive forces, only to fall by the hundreds to a single Hive champion. Odon was one of the lucky guardians who managed to reach a transport before the moon was abandoned in the retreat. Turns out, immortal doesn't mean invincible, Odon observes. Just means you stand a better chance of living with your mistakes. The disaster spelled the beginning of the end for the Vanguard's military prospects. Any hope of formally organizing the city's light bearers dissipated. Contemporary records show that many felt the Guardian populations soon became ungovernable, even disloyal, in the wake of the Vanguard's failure. But events in the recent years suggest that Guardians do not require loyalty to a military command to compel them to place themselves in danger on behalf of the city. Whether driven by hope for humanity or a desire for wealth, Guardians have continued to face off against increasingly dire threats. I used to run with the future war cult, Odon tells me. I guess I started to think maybe we win the little fights, but we're never going to do anything about the real enemies out there. That war will always be waiting. He laughs, and then someone comes along and kicks Crota's teeth in. That's great. Um,
Yeah.
so I got excited there when it mentioned the hive at the site of Burning Lake, where the Vanguard and Consensus ordered a full scale assault on the moon. And for those who don't know, Shax was very against it.
Yep.
And there is a late I can't type and talk. There we go. There is an old uh, grimoire card, the Raise Lighter, one of the swords we get from Oryx, where it's actually the consensus meeting. So it reads, "Next order of business: the growing city foundries Bang. What is this madness? Lord Shax, the consensus did not. We barely eked out victory at Burning Lake, and now you think we're ready to attack the moon? We're preparing. Did you not read my report from Burning Lake about the Hive's weapons? Those swords, they're like nothing we've ever. Lord Shax, Zavala, you can't think this is wise. We need to examine these swords, train against them. That is a matter for the consensus to decide, old friend. Like, what the fuck were they thinking?
Right. Let's just use these swords.
Yeah.
I mean, well, for anyone listening that doesn't know, a little history on the swords and Crota and what was it? King's Fall, I guess, is technically where Eris's involvement happened with changing the swords.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it seems like there's been a little bit of sword murmuring since the dawn of Destiny, but we didn't officially get swords until what was it? Prison of Elders. We had that weird Taken sword.
No, it was Taken King.
So was it Taken King when we got it?
Well, we got the Taken sword that you're thinking of was from Prison of Elders, but that was in the Taken Spring, which was the spring update
So that
after
was
Taken King.
yeah. Was that after Taken King? I thought that was before.
No, that's why it was called Taken Spring. So we had Prison of Elders and House of Wolves that did not have a sword. Then we got Taken King, which gave us our three legendary swords, one of each of the elements we had available at the time, as well as our three exotic swords, Raise Lighter, Dark Drinker, Bolt Caster. And then
Boltcaster is the best.
and okay. And what the fuck? We need to
It's
have a
the
talk.
best.
And then during the Taken King drought, because remember there was no more seasons or DLC. What did they call? Whatever they called them. There was no more
Yeah,
like content updates in the
that's right.
spring after Taken King. Like like
Because
4
there
or
was a
5
drought.
months.
It was a
Yeah,
drought. It was the
they
drought
had
of yeah.
the Taken Spring where they updated the Prison of Elders to include Taken
That's right.
enemies. Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's why you're thinking the
Okay.
Taken sword.
You're right.
Wait, was there a Taken sword? Are you thinking of Season of the Deep?
No, I'm thinking of Prison of Elders. It was the Taken. It was called the what was it called? Was it called Dread something? No, it was what was the Taken sword in Destiny 1 called?
Arc Edge, Soul Edge, Void Edge, Dreadfang. Yeah, yeah, you're
Dreadfang.
right. Yep, you got it.
Dreadfang. The Dread Train?
No,
No.
it's just it's kind of like sure.
Yeah. Sure. If I could turn back time. Um, I think that's interesting. I don't know why we spun off on this right now. It's probably my fault. Sorry, but
Yeah,
I
why
think that's
did we?
interesting because in the Prison of Elders lore, Mara,
Uh-huh.
or by proxy, Mara's people were experimenting on the Taken.
Oh yes, yes. Ooh, are we gonna talk about the Nastareth?
Yes, the
No,
Nastareth.
we're not gonna talk
No,
about
we
the
shouldn't do that.
Nastareth.
Let's not do
We
that.
we
We'll go
should
down
we
a
should
rabbit
try
hole.
to stay focused right now as
Yeah.
best we
Okay,
can.
we're staying focused. Harbingers. No, I'm just joking.
Blessed is the Nastareth. Look it up.
uh,
I think that's
there's
gonna
too
be a
much.
thing. I think that's gonna be an
There's too
episode.
many threads to pull on this damn game.
Oh, I'm gonna say it really quick. I'm gonna say it really quick. It'll
Okay,
take me a
okay,
second.
okay, okay.
I bet the dread is to the fallen. I bet the fallen is to the Elixni that the dread is to the Nastareth.
Ooh,
There we go. I said it. I
ooh,
said it.
ooh. I like it.
Yeah. And now everyone has homework. Go learn about the Nastareth.
Uh,
Okay, why don't you read the next entry? Were you able to find it?
yeah.
Okay.
Oh, the next one is the Praxic order, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. There's some of the tower's best assets. There is always the risk, of course, of over enthusiasm by core array. Uh, okay. So type agent feed parties two, one agent Anor Mahal, that guy. One field agent redacted R under cormorant encryption. So
Ooh.
yeah, cormorant seal is suppressing this message. So audio is unavailable, which is seems to be a running theme in the lore whenever something is
That's my
happening that they don't.
favorite thing for written
Yeah,
lore entries. They're like, sorry, the audio is
yeah,
unavailable, but you can have the
yeah,
transcripts.
yeah. I'm sure nothing will happen with the transcript.
Yeah.
Uh, anyway, the transcript follows M01. Keep cool, agent. R01. I'm steady as a titan. M02. Steadiness means not getting cocky on the way out. R02. Oh, in that case, R03. Don't think they clocked me in this gear. Nothing but a blueberry with a nasty streak. M03. And the deal? R04. Next week. Even a new light like me could find a better deal before then. M04. I'd rather deal with incompetent arms dealer than the reverse. R05. You and me both, ma'am. So, yeah, something going on here.
Hmm.
So it's funny because like the old friends thing, the two old friends thing is,
Mm-hmm.
it's got a lot of associations with Shacks, and then you know,
Yeah,
like what
it's
we've
all the
been dealing
people
with
that
right
we've
now.
dealt with over the years, right?
Yes, yeah,
So like Shax, Eris, Saladin, Shax again,
yeah,
down at the farm. I guess it's just the farm itself.
yeah,
Uh, and then the Reaver Vandal, Shax again.
yeah.
Shax is popular.
Well, Shax is overseeing the onslaught, so
Yeah,
it makes sense that they have to flesh out a lot of this stuff as to what we're doing and why we're doing it.
yeah. And then we'll continue on with the rest, of course.
Yeah.
Which actually we
So
should.
it's just funny because you have these agents, uh, technically agents,
Yeah.
um, and so Anor, his last name is Mahal, and then you have another field agent which is redacted,
Hmm.
and but they're under the Cormorant encryption,
It's
so
interesting
that's
that they claim to be a new light, but they were redacted under the Cormorant seal.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
a seasoned agent should be the one that's redacted. No,
I think it is the one that's redacted
no,
because there's
uh
redacted one, redacted two, redacted three, and redacted four.
oh no, that's like their first speech.
Yeah, and then the second, third, fourth. So they're obviously a key player in this discussion. So Honor is saying keep cool again, agent, and then the redacted agent is saying I'm steady as a titan.
No, but yeah,
Whatever that means. So they're a warlock because they're a cormorant, and then they got to be associated with the Praxic Order.
yeah, but what I'm saying is the redacted agent here on their fourth line, they say next week even a new light like me could find a better deal before them. So they're a new light. They're admitting to being a new light, but they're a redacted agent.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. So they are a new light. I thought they were speaking of somebody they witnessed, but yeah, you're right. That makes more sense. So
Yeah.
next week, even a new light like me could find a better deal before then.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a deal. This
Well, I
is
mean, yeah,
sneaky.
obviously there's a deal, but it's like I just think it's interesting that the Praxic Warlock or the Praxic Order is redacting a new light agent. It's like, well, who are they? Like, what are they going to do? Whoever this redacted agent is, because they're being redacted for a reason, I imagine. Like, especially with the first line here. They are some of the tower's best assets. There is always a risk, of course, of over enthusiasm, Ikora Ray. So she's saying about potentially about this over enthusiastic new light. And a reason that I think it could be redacted is, what if the Cormorant, under redacted under Cormorant Reseal, Cormorant encryption, what if they're like a ruling council for Praxic
Uh,
Order, and it's like, yeah, this field agent fucked up, so he's being like looked into right now, and because of that we're redacting him from the records because he's under
that makes sense.
investigation.
So you got to protect the person under investigation until all, yeah, parties are
Yeah,
proven guilty or innocent. Blah blah blah.
yeah, exactly. Where it's like, we don't know if they actually fucked up yet, where this is evidence.
It is nice that they end with you and me both, ma'am, in respect to Honor.
Yeah, I don't like Nor though, but
I don't either.
in any case, we should get moving because I just realized how many entries there are.
Oh crap! Yeah, let's go.
So, article United in Hope, Our Neighbors in Neomuna by Emmanuel Utkin, staff writer at the City Herald again. Confirmation of a human settlement on Neomuna was only one of several shocking revelations over the course of recent years. Its discovery marks a sea change in our collective access to Golden Age information and technology long thought to be lost. Perhaps more importantly, it heralds potential reconnection with the rest of our people. Who are these Neomunai? Are they anything like us? Real time communication between Neomuna and Earth is still stymied by the logistics of crossing enemy lines in addition to Neomuna's communication restrictions. Data transmissions from Neomuna are strictly controlled and scrutinized for Vex corruption. Therefore, Vanguard sources provided assistance contacting Neomuna citizens. We asked willing individuals to share their perspectives of the possibilities of a long awaited reunion with Earth. Despite the dangers, many Neomuna denizens are optimistic about the curtain coming down someday in the future. A brief selection of their thoughts follows. I don't know how things would have shaken out if we stayed on Earth. Maybe we wouldn't have the Cloud Arc or nanotechnology, but if we make it through this fight with the Witness, I think it's only fair we send over, what we have on food production, terraforming. There's a whole planet to reclaim. I'd love to read some new Earth literature. I always assumed that the stories we managed to bring with us were going to be the last of their kind. Does anyone over there like detective stories? It's been interesting to see the Guardians at work. Is everyone on Earth like that, going to Mach 12 all the time? Stay tuned for continued coverage, including a guest feature from Neomuna's very own Jisoo Kaluranda. I fucking
God
love
dang it,
Jisoo.
that guy. Yeah, that's the that. So it's funny because the radio in Neomuna is controlled by Jisoo
Yeah.
Calorando, and he loves to just do that trope of the radio announcer
Yeah.
getting on the radio and saying, "Good morning, everybody in Neomuna. Here's your
Yeah.
blah 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 today." The weather sucks and there's diamonds raining out of the sky. I don't know. It's just like stuff like
Shame.
that. But then there's always like those seeds that they plant, like uh, the Einstein Rosen Bridge.
Hmm.
You asshole. uh, so it's stuff like that. You sit there and listen to the fluff, and then if you're not paying attention, you'll miss the thing that was like right there.
Hmm.
And so one of the things that we were trying to figure out is, what is the veil, and how do we get into the Traveler? And come to find out, it's exploring the theory of Einstein-Rosen bridges and how we can use the light to get in there. And of course, Crow figured it out via a wish, which circumvents all that. But anyway, uh, I just think so. Real quick before we go on to the next one, just to wrap this up
Hmm.
on Neomuna and Lightfall. I think it's unfair to say that Lightfall is the worst thing that ever happened to Destiny, and I don't believe that at all. And there's a lot of people out there that do, and I am vehemently opposed to that because Neomuna had some of the coolest shit,
Hmm.
especially in the lore. Uh, and I think that a lot of people just played the mission, were frustrated, upset, with what they weren't getting and what they, expected, and just the sudden changes that were made. And so that tainted a lot of um, exploration and fun that they could
Hmm.
have had, because there's so much cool stuff with the Cloud Striders, the Neomuni themselves, the Council, the propaganda, the
Yeah.
Veil, of course, and then just the sheer territory that is all the patrol spaces are littered with all kinds of really cool stuff that on first glance you think, oh, this is just attached to this place. No, there's a
Hmm.
lot of stuff. Like, for instance, in lore, when we first got the Lightfall, there was a mention back when it was the Festival of the Lost or whatever. They were talking about archived magazines that had, naked women's bellies painted as pumpkins. Like, who writes this stuff, right? But they were
Wasn't their
cataloging.
bellies.
Yeah, I know, but they were cataloging and trying to find anything that was relevant to human archival, and they just kept it safe as much as possible. And so Ikora,
Hmm.
being the vanguard that she is, and wanting as much information that we lost about our previous selves as possible, was really interested in obtaining as much as she could from Neomuna, because they had archival knowledge that was lost
Hmm.
forever.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. Uh, I think the biggest issue I had with Lightfall was their choice to try to squeeze two stories into one story. And I've said this
Yeah,
before, the story of Shadow Callus, uh, Shadow
yeah.
Legion Callus, and taking over Neomuna, and the story of Strand, where if they had two mainline quests that you could just kind of like at your leisure weave between, or do one and then do the other, or etc.,
It would have been better. Yeah,
it
it was
would
the
have been better.
delivery.
Yeah,
It
it
was all
was.
the delivery.
Yeah, at every point I was kind of just getting thrown over here and then thrown over there and then thrown over here, and it felt like I needed more time here and I needed more time here, and I didn't get everything that the
And
story
there
had to
and
offer.
therein lies the rub. They couldn't do that because people were so voracious about as much content as possible to make it feel like it was worthwhile. And so they
Yeah.
doled it all out at once, and then they just crammed it down your throat in all these parallel storylines that were happening at the same time, which
Yeah.
in and of themselves, by themselves, were really not a lot, but all together was enough meat and potatoes to make you feel like you were getting a full dinner plate of an expansion. When in reality, they should have paced it out.
Yeah. And that's what I hope for Final Shape. Did it right. That's what I hope for Final Shape with Prismatic. It
Yeah,
seems like they're just like, here's Prismatic, go, you know.
yeah,
And I hope, like, if it needs a mission, it needs a mission, sure. But I don't want it to be several missions of slowly building up
yeah,
prismatic abilities. We need to master this ability so we can take on the witness. Without prismatic, we can't possibly defeat him. And then he has
yeah,
this big arena that's like catered to prismatic combat. Like,
yeah.
that's where the mistakes were, the big
I think you're
mistakes.
right. That's probably, hopefully they did that. Hopefully they learned from that mistake.
Yeah.
All right, so we got at least 5 minutes for each entry, so we can do
Go.
it. All right, hot off the shelf by Ember Haddad, senior editor at the City Herald. My new friend is an assuming young man in a torn flight jacket, still coated in a fine layer of dust. His ghost, Rivet, it's such a cool name, is looking impressively smug for a small metal being. They told me I'd never find my guardian, Rivet tells me, that I should try my luck with a hive. But look at him. He's beautiful. Like all Risen, Rivet's beautiful new guardian has no memory of who he was, where he is, or what his purpose might be. But he nods agreeably when Rivet explains to him that guardians protect the last city. I'm here to fight Fallen and Cabal, the guardian says proudly, but only the mean ones. He's still figuring out a few details out, Rivet says. It's been a very eventful few years in the Sol system. I asked Rivet, at this point in time, how does a ghost go about getting their new guardian up to speed? Well, you start by warning them about what threats we'll be facing in the field, right? I haven't really gotten into the part about the end of the world just yet, though. Rivet's guardian looks confused. The world is ending?
Oh.
Vanguard operative Shah Han, my escort through the Cosmodrome and local shepherd of those he calls new lights, has similar advice. It helps to focus on the basics. Let them test out their light, learn what they're capable of. The details come later. Even now? Yep. Once they've got a handle on little things, saving the world comes naturally.
So
That's a
that
pretty
was
easy one.
a nice
Yeah.
little touch on Shah Han, still
Yeah.
being this Vanguard operative and escort for new Guardians.
Blueberries.
Yeah, he's the Blueberry Wrangler. He was an he could have been more. Oh, not to dwell too much on it. I feel like that's probably the biggest source of downfall for Bungie. They do a lot of like half measures because they don't want to fully commit to
Yeah.
something. But it's like if they
Yeah.
fully committed on Shah Han being this like introductory service, as a veteran player, I'd be like, I don't give a fuck about Shah Han. But I'm sure new players would be like, man, Shah Han is the best. Like he was there by my side
Yeah.
helping me out. Like, but he's kind of there as a what are they called? A vendor.
The
He's
token douche.
yeah, he's just a vendor. And it's like
Yeah, no, I
he
get it.
could have
Yeah,
been really cool.
he's like the Captain America of the Cosmodrome.
Okay, that's a fucking high praise in my opinion, but sure.
uh, oh,
Uh
I'm not. Yeah, I'm more of an Iron Man dude.
I mean, yeah, I guess I'm more of a not Marvel dude myself, but when you're calling someone Captain America, like that's fucking respect.
Uh, he
So
has an Ahamkara spine on his arm though. That's kind of
and
cool.
that's why we can't trust him.
Yeah, true.
So the next entry, article, a consensus for the rest of us, a festivus for the rest of us, if you will, by Layla Terraz's political correspondent at the City Herald. I just noticed we have all these different correspondents, but I got Emmanuel twice.
Yeah, you did.
Uh, Chibuki, oh man, I feel like I butchered that. Otieno, Perica Kosar, Argus McCowan. If there is anything in the current state of the consensus hopefuls have in common, it's that they offer a very different kind of representation for the mortal population of the last city. Raucous political gatherings have become a staple of the city's nightlife in recent months, with potential candidates vying for the chance to make their case for the candidacy in the city's parks and public squares. Chief among their demands is the urgent restoration of fair representation of the city's government. Notably absent are the old trappings of long established faction loyalties. This move away from Guardian driven factors speaks to more mortal centric framing, claims Dina Palomo, one of several enthusiastic volunteers campaigning on behalf of McCowan. We know the Vanguard can handle the long view, but we need the short term perspective as well as the immortal one. Warlock Vanguard Ikora Ray has repeatedly pledged to restore the consensus, promising to hold civilian elections once the immediate threat is over. Not everyone is content to wait. How many citizens were exiled from the city because they got on Executor Hideo's bad side, asks one local. I mean, how many Guardians got the boot because they wanted Guardians ruling the city? Isn't that what we have now? If things are so desperate, why don't we invite some of our people back home? Others call the excitement over elections premature. If we lose the war, I'm pretty sure none of us are going to be alive to do any voting. It is difficult to argue that point that election turnout might be poor under current circumstances. But if lightless members of our community are to have a voice in the future, it's clear that there are those ready and eager to speak. That's actually this is interesting, and I would love to see this more because I'm very interested in like city politics, and
Yeah.
it's a good point they're saying, we'll do this after the war, after the whole witness is over. And it's like, well,
Yeah.
if they're just humans, what are they doing anyway? All they have is this. They're not going to fight the witness. So it's
No.
like either they get their foot in the door before all this happens and it becomes even harder to get in, because it's like, listen, we just defeated the witness. We need to regroup our guard. It's always going to be another
Right.
thing. It's like,
Yeah.
do it now, because if you lose anyway, we're dead anyway. We don't need to
Yeah. It
wait.
doesn't matter. Yeah. We need to just do what we can do while we're waiting for whatever's going to happen. It doesn't matter. Like,
Yeah.
it's inconsequential.
And also factions. I would love to see factions come back as they were
Yeah.
in D1 as just like unique sources of loot. Where it's just
Yeah.
like, but also I do understand why that is difficult to manage, because it's like, how many loot sources do you need, I guess.
Well, listen, I think the coolest thing about the lore entry is it's telling you, hey, look, here's the city and the people that we don't ever think about. And, we're guardians, but we take for granted the millions of just regular humans that are behind the scenes trying to keep everything running, right? All the unsung heroes that are keeping the lights on, doing the things that they need to do to keep the infrastructure going, and humanity as a whole to, persevere, whatever. And then, you get this nod to, hey, look, in the middle of war, why worry about, factions? But here's something we should be concerned about. And it just kind of shows, like, during the wartime, war is the war is the great unifier, which I hate. And that's what's happening here is all the bickering and stuff that can happen between factions and whatnot, all that gets pushed aside when there's over our big looming threat that just kind of basically supersedes anything that would have been considered a big deal back when the factions were arguing. It's kind of like
Mm-hmm.
Lysander trying to weasel his way back into our good graces.
No, I'm so glad that you said that, because that's absolutely what this is. How many
Yeah,
citizens were exiled from the city because they got on Executor Hideo's bad side? The new monarchy
yeah,
kicked out the Concordat. Ask
they
the
sure
local.
did.
I mean, how many guardians? Blah blah blah. Is in, if things are so desperate, why don't we invite some of our people back home? They're trying to bring back Lysander. Oh my god.
It'd be great because there's a hole where Lakshmi left FWC, and he even mentions some other characters in the previous entries were saying I used to be a part of the FWC, but now not so much.
Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, they're absolutely. And I was thinking about it while you were talking. I do want factions to return as they were in D1. And even if it's like, this is the faction armor, and that's it. This is the only
Yeah,
faction armor that we're ever going to have. But here's the caveat of that. When they feel they want to introduce another faction for story purposes, they can't. It's like, there doesn't need to be three factions, and you only have three factions. And every episode, we get more faction armor, and it's this like endless like update on their armor
right.
and
No, it's
stuff.
just here it
It's like,
is.
yeah, here's this faction, here's this faction, here's this faction. This is their armor. That's it. They get that's their armor. If you like their armor, there you go. You got some cause. What's the system?
Uh,
The
yeah,
the 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 ornament system. What's that called?
uh, yeah. The
Man,
thing where you get to wear
I'm
different pieces. Yeah, I'm doing it
yeah,
too today. My brain is all over the
yeah.
place.
With Ada, you can Ada this armor to make it a universal ornament, right? You can make it an ornament.
Yes.
If you like this armor, you can rep the faction. Here's some weapons that they offer, and then it's like, 2 years down the road, they're like, oh, I have this great idea for a story, and it's gonna have this other faction that's like up and coming, and they're dealing with this very like specific thing. It's like, okay, cool, and now we get another faction. It's
Yeah.
and just like that. They don't
Kind of
need to
like
be
what they did with
endlessly
the
updated.
planets. They all had their own little
Yeah,
armor.
exactly like they did with the planets,
Yeah.
where it's like, do you like this armor? Cool. Do you not? That's fine too. It's there. It's never
Yeah.
going to get touched again. If you like it, cool.
Yeah. Okay. Next one.
Uh,
Allies
Oh wait, is this me
Elixni.
or is this you?
It's
It's
did
you.
I read the last one?
I can't
Yeah, it's
remember.
me.
Okay, go.
Okay. We have found the great machine, Mithrax, after Chelchis. Yeah, this is a good one. Uh, Known on Earth for centuries as the Fallen, the Elixni are four-armed beings from the planet Reese. They fled their home after the traveler's departure caused a planet-wide calamity called the Whirlwind. While many Elixni remain steadfast enemies of the last city, others have joined as our allies and neighbors, most notably the House of Light and their leader, Mithrax. Elixni rely on the inhalation of ether to survive and grow. Processed from organic materials and energy by servitors, ether is highly combustible. As such, any leaks in the city's tanks are to be immediately reported through our emergency channels.
Um, so I just want to touch on one thing really quick before we move on.
Yeah,
We have found the
yeah,
great machine, Mithrax after Chelchis.
yeah,
Chelchis being, of course, the Kell of Stone,
yeah,
who was ground up into the scout rifle Doom of Chelchis. Where
yeah.
is the great machine? Where is the great machine? Chelchis, Kell of Stone. Does that not make it sound like Mithrax replaced Chelchis?
Yeah, it does.
But that doesn't make sense because Mithrax was a vandal in the House of Wolves.
Oh, and that would be yeah, that would have happened pre House of Wolves because Chelchis,
So did he get absorbed? Did House of Stone get absorbed by House of Wolves?
I would assume so, yeah.
Huh.
You know, House of Stone is an interesting one for me. Like, what are they talking about when they say stone?
Yeah.
Is that going to be some kind of witness thing?
Maybe they were like
Anyway,
stonemasons. But yeah, let's keep
yes,
moving for now.
stonemasons, yeah.
Uh so Allies Tower, Empress Keitel. We eat the mountains, we drink the seas. The former Emperor Callus lived for joy, rejecting his empire's long military tradition. His sole heir and member of the coup that overthrew him, the Empress Keitel, makes for a different leader. A classic militarist, she trained in her youth as a fighter pilot. Keitel has bent her considerable might to two goals: defeating the Witness and reclaiming her homeworld, Torabottle. Keitel's empire is a sprawling one, composed of many peoples. It continues to expand even within Seoul, with the Empress accepting the oath of the Empire's first guardian, the Valis Saladin Forge.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So that's a
These
nice
are,
little update
yeah,
on Keitel.
these
I
are neat
wonder.
little, these are neat little lore entries because they're kind of like if you haven't been paying attention, they're kind of like wrapping it up. Like, here you go, guys. Like,
Mhm.
do you remember when this happened? In
Yeah,
case you were wondering what that was, this is what it was.
this is it's kind of like saying like this is the reunion tour because with Final Shape, that's it. They keep saying this is the end of this part of the story. So
Right.
everyone that is like living in the city, working with the city, dealing with the city, a big part of that is because everyone wants to defeat the Witness. So once
Yeah.
the Witness is defeated, do they leave? Do new people come in? What's going to happen? It's all up in the air now. like
Right.
Keitel might be like, all right, we did the Witness, I'm out. The Cabal are leaving.
Peace. Going
Yeah,
back to
your
Tor
your
Bottle.
your allied Cabal are leaving the system to go retake Tora Bottle. We would love it if some of you came with us. We might get an
Yeah.
episode where we go
Dude,
and
that
we
would be so
fight
cool if
on
we got to
Tora
go to
Bottle.
Tor Bottle, or
Yeah,
even if they just said like the continuation of Destiny later on was we get to
yeah.
go see all these unexplored places and just on missions and like ways to, reclaim. Anyway, I'm getting
Especially,
ahead of
and
myself.
this is like the most ridiculous ask, but especially if with the episode system that I hope they're trying to do, if they like took like 2 years to make what would be like a Destiny 3, and it's your guardian going on that long space flight from Earth to Tora Bottle, and you get your new system. You get the Tora Bottle system where it's like instead of Earth, Venus,
Oh, that's
Mars, you
so
have Tora
cool.
Bottle,
Wow.
uh,
Yeah.
all of the alien races that Tora Bottle like that the Cabal
that would be
claimed.
good because then as a standalone game, it wouldn't have to be, wrapped up in the Destiny 2. Uh, you know, how big is this game now? It's huge. So you want to go to Tour Battle? Yeah, you got to play Destiny 3 for that. Okay, cool. It's a separate thing and it's got its own like director.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna read the last one, and then this is a good one. So, Visitors Out of Dreams: Changing Reef Relations by Leah Terrazas, political correspondent of the City Herald. Recent strategic summits between Queen Marisov, the Awoken, and the Vanguard have provided our citizens with the rarest of honors, a glimpse of our Awoken neighbors. The city hosted a small Awoken population for centuries, but reef-born subjects of the Queen were more commonly contained to Awoken settlements and outposts within their own territory. The Queen's secrets were guarded zealously, and prior relations with the city often bordered on hostility. In the face of common threats, however, this isolationist policy has since softened. For today's citizens, the arrival of the Awoken Corsairs is a minor spectacle. I just know it's some sort of divine monarchy. One local commented, "How are we supposed to keep up with everything in Seoul these days? But they sure look impressive." Initial impressions of the Awoken Corsairs appear to be positive, with several residents describing them as disciplined, worldly, and surprisingly grounded. "We made a choice to help Earth long ago," said one Corsair. "I'm glad we can do so openly." While the imminent battle for the Traveler is foremost on everyone's mind, several Corsairs noted their hopes for continued cooperation, especially given rumors of a resurgence of the infamous Ahamkara. As another Corsair put it, "There's a lot we're going to have to figure out together in a hurry."
That's great. I bet this
Yeah,
entire book is like the future of Destiny. Like there's like little teases for the future of Destiny in
yeah,
here. Talking
that
about
sounds cool.
Kara, talking about bringing Lysander back, talking about Keitel going back to Tora Bottle. Like maybe it won't be as big as I was saying, but maybe there will be an episode where we just go to Tora Bottle. Like that alone would be really cool.
Sure.
Or an expansion. That would probably be an expansion level thing, not an episode level thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm really excited for Tuesday. I should probably get on and make sure I'm ready for Tuesday.
Yeah, get the stupid weapons you haven't got.
All of them?
They're gonna be gone.
Yeah, I probably should. That's a good point. I probably should. I don't think I have the time.
Well, they gave they sped up the. I don't know how fast you could do it, even with them giving you more, because they gave, how they do that every time it gets close, they go ahead and give you like a boost.
Yeah,
Yeah, at least go get some of the chests and the free stupid. What is the free stupid material for the Eververse?
yeah, I should.
Bright dust.
Yeah, I absolutely should. You're right. You're right.
Oh, and spend your legendary shards because they're gonna go away.
Why?
I don't know, but they're
I
doing this.
invested so much money in legendary shards, and you're telling me they're just going away?
Yeah, they're going bye
Oh,
bye. People are saying the only thing you can really spend them on that's worthwhile is the it starts with a P, I think. I don't I don't really pay attention to
I
that
mean,
stuff,
raid
but
banners, I'd imagine.
no, the other one, the some other thing, because it can be traded later on for something else. I don't know. Look it up.
S- Something with a P.
It's if you look up the Destiny, or if you look up Bungie's tweet about legendary shards going away, there's like 30 comments below. Hey, go spend them here.
Yeah. All right. All right. Yeah. I'll figure it out. I've got, what do I got? Like a week and a half or so. Like I got time. I'll figure it out. That's gonna be it for us today. I'm sure we both got to go. So
Yeah.
our next episode will be a post Final Shape. I had to think about it. Post Final Shape episode. First impressions, as our usual form is, I'm really excited to get my hands on
Yeah,
Prismatic. I'm really
yeah.
excited to get deep in that Pale Heart. I'm so excited for so much that we're going to see. I can't wait.
Yep.
So we'll see you then. I didn't say when. We'll see you on June 16th. We'll see you then. Bye,
Bye.
everybody.